We will try to understand some of the basic contentions, arguments of queer theory, which is a composite field of gay and lesbian studies, as well as you know studying different kinds of sexual differences, dissidences, if you would like to call it so, any non-normative performing of one's gender. Now, like in our other videos, we have spoken about otherization of women, otherization of the class, the subaltern class or the proletariat class, or in the post-colonial we have spoken about the otherization, subjugation of the colonized. Similarly, in queer theory, we deal with the misrepresentation, the subjugation, the maltreatment, the denial of rights to the group of people whom we you know consider as sexually different. We means the majority, the society. So that's the society's capitalist is one shade of gray, if we can say so. At the same time, the dominant social sexuality is heterosexuality, or rather even married heterosexuality, which does not officially want to recognize other forms of sexuality, even sexual practices which do not conform to procreative uh, standards. Even within married, homosexuality is looked down upon by religion, religious leaders, etc. The fact that human sexuality is also recreational, or rather often more recreational than procreational, is not subscribed to by religion and society by and large. The analogy that they often use is of nature, unknowingly though, that such and such things are unnatural. Why should a human do it? But unnatural, many things in society are unnatural. That we live in a house is also unnatural. Nature's world, hardly people build such houses. Um, they say that why should men or women do such things that even animals do not do. So what? We do so many other things that animals do not do. Animals do not fly aeroplanes. Animals do not go to Mars. Animals, do not run ships, sail ships across the water. So why in case of sexuality we should not be innovative? At the same time, it is a flawed argument. Research and findings have shown that homosexuality is endemic. It is not only in humans. Homosexuality and certain deviant sexualities, it is common to across species. As it is said that homosexuality is found in all species, but homophobia, that is fear of homosexuality, is found only in one, that is the human. That brings us directly to the topic of the text prescribed for us, which I will discuss in my subsequent video, the male homosexual panic, where actually it rather speaks about the heterosexual panic, not so much the homosexual panic, though it is not easy to understand Sedgwick, but I'll give my meaning anyway. So, another important thing we have to remember, one is, as I have compared all these things to, all these kinds of enabling theories, I would like to call them Marxism, queer theory, post-colonialism, as agenda-based theory. In fact, gay and lesbian movement or queer rights, it started on the streets during the Vietnam War, in America especially, the Stonewall and other things, people started. Then it was institutionalized. Anyway, so that is one history, and at the same time, I would like to tell you to remember that all these theories, so far as the theoretical part is concerned, if not so much the praxis part, whatever has come into operation after the 60s is heavily informed by post-structuralism and deconstruction. That dismantling of the binary. We often talk more about Foucault in discussing homosexuality or LGBTQ, and that is an important topic. I'll come to that. But Derrida is always looming large there. So while deconstructing the binary between heterosexuality and homosexuality, where heterosexuality is given the normative status, in theoretical terms, we say that we live in a heteronormative society where heterosexuality is treated as normal. Normal, which follows the norms. Norms or normalcy are not as natural as we think. Most of these are constructed. For example, say in MA English, 55% constructs the norm. So if you get 54.5% or 54.66%, you cannot teach in a college or a university. So, but it may be possible that a person getting 50% may at times know better English. It happens than one getting even 66%. But then norms have to be there because our society functions in many arbitrary ways. Then these arbitrary things are through ideology. These are all related. Follow my videos on ideology, interpellation, etc. They are made to seem normal. Now, if we check out a little bit of history, in 1901, say around 1901, heterosexuality itself did not have the meaning that it has today. At that point of time, heterosexuality meant a kind of deviation. That is a problem, a sexual problem. Dorland's medical dictionary defined heterosexuality as an abnormal or perverted appetite towards the opposite sex. So that was the meaning. Gradually, by the time when we come to the 1930s, we have the present graceful meaning of heterosexuality. So we have to be aware about terms also, contents and terms. Content-wise, society has been heteronormative for a very, very long time, though not always. We know about, I will do a series of videos on this, like my other theoretical papers. The Greco-Roman world was very permissive about male to male sexual relation. Interestingly, in India, the criminalization of homosexuality is a colonial gift. Maybe partly medieval Islamic culture also could have contributed, because in the Indian scriptures, that the sins and crimes that are categorized, it is not a venial or a mortal sin. Eating onions, if you follow Manu Samhita, is a sin of much, higher category. There are Otipap or Mahapap, all these kinds of categories are there. In fact, actually eating onions and what is called Pung Moithun, homosexual, is similar. So law changes, discourses changes. So during the colonial times, it became a crime, and consequent idea of sin was imposed heavily on the public mind. But again, from September 6th, if I am not mistaken, 2018, homosexuality or other deviant sexualities, so long as they're consensual and among adults, ceased to be crimes. The same with adultery. Adultery between consenting adults, obviously between adults, that's why adultery maybe. So it's no longer a crime. So it also shows, among other things, that law is not something historically and universally given. What is legal today may be illegal tomorrow, and what is illegal today may be legal tomorrow. Is a construct. Death sentences were recently given. In England, subsequently, very closely in 66 and 67, these two things were abolished. Criminalization of homosexuality and death sentence, as early as 66 and 67. But in India, we still have it. So here it is legal to kill people legally when a court of law, the highest court, decides so, but not in all countries. So that is why here again Derrida becomes very important. He says law gets its power from iteration. Laws in themselves are not powerful. You have to utter them like the mantras in different situations again and again. That quotability gives law its power, along with that Gramsci's idea of ideology. Law is both ISA and RSA. I had a detailed discussion today. Then I checked and found out. Even, sorry, it is Althusser. Althusser himself identifies law as belonging to both the domains. So these things we have to keep in mind. But main idea is to end the oppression, equal rights for all. Though homosexuality is no longer illegal in India, for example, gay marriage rights are not given. The pandemic is creating problem for many same-sex partners. They cannot hospitalize people, cannot claim kind of relationship. There are problems. At the same time, there are many radical, say, gays who are very much against marriage. I think in my class, already shared with you a video of Dr. Raj Rao, who says that marriage itself is a patriarchal term. Patriarchal institution. Why we want to replicate or reduplicate it within the queer society? That is his idea. In fact, I have a similar observation regarding equality within marriage. People who claim, I am all for equality, but so long as marriages are there, it is very difficult, because why? It's very, kind of institutionalization by its very original meaning. At least in Hindu society, the Hindu society, there are many forms of marriage. Some extra pundits sometimes quote these and say that all these are there, but these are not allowed. All these are not allowed. Only 3 types for civil people are allowed. And the most authenticated it is called this Brahmo Vivaho. Do not confuse it with system of marriage in Brahmo Samaj. That is a later thing, but the marriage that we have these days, technically, Borahvane Salankara Kanyadan, that is, the Kanya has to be donated with ornaments, alankars, inviting the bar. That is the Brahmo Vivaho of the 8 types of marriage. So, donated to the man. So, though these days without court marriage nothing is valid, and hardly even many people do not know the meaning of the marriage that they are engaging in scripturally, but even other things which are visible for those who do not know Sanskrit also, mostly women go to man's house after marriage, not vice versa. If it happens like that, that is a matter of shame. Ghar Jamai, or house husband, in English the term is there, it has been coined maybe from influence of India. It is a matter of shame. But if a girl comes to man's house, it's a matter of pride, not shame. So these kinds of ideas, we have wonderful ideas even in 21st century. How can we have gender justice fully? So I'm here more with Butler in a way, who has indicated that so long as you are caught up within gender, you cannot have gender equality. To have real gender equality, you have to move beyond gender. So I call myself a post-gender person. You are also PG, doing post-graduation. That is one kind of PG. Now I talk about another kind of PG, post-gender. Think beyond gender. Like, use gender-neutral terms. Even using terms is not so much important. Some people are very smart about using terms which are gender-neutral, but they may be internally very patriarchal, and kind of all those things. So the spirit matters. Otherwise, these will be, you may even use chairman. If you respect women as equal, terms are innocent. Though terms have been vehicles of oppression, but my spirit is different. You mean chairperson and all this, and you don't allow your wife to come out of house, throughout the day, or control every mover. So what is the meaning? Similarly, in queer theory, there are many issues. So that's why queer people say in India, and all people should support them, that this kind of victory is half a victory, not full victory. But at the same time, I've indicated, like post-colonial theory or Marxist theory or theory or praxis, let us say, queer is also not a unified field. There are variations. As we say in India, as many minds, so many opinions. Munde munde matir bhinnaha kunde kunde navopayam. But then, for operational strategy, there are commonalities which have been identified by different groups for which they fight. And one thing we can say for any group, whether the colonized other or gendered other, that is women or queer, or the caste other, this is very important, caste issue in India. So Dalit aesthetics, Dalit criticism. So one thing we can say, that at least the basic human rights have to be ensured for each and all, and progressively more and more rights have to be given, have to enable people, otherwise we ourselves will be lagging. That is a stigma or shame on humans to castigate or denigrate any other fellow human beings merely for his being born in a particular family or born to a particular orientation or born to a particular community. So this is very important. So ethics is also a very important part of queer theory. Now I come to another very important part. Today it is again a general introduction. I gave it to all of you in my class, but then there has been a long gap, and then during that I had been supplying much materials to you, but I have been uploading videos mostly about the core courses. That's why I'm making a kind of revision with some addition. Now some people do not understand why it is necessary to protest. A contemporary liberal teacher, religious teacher, I won't like to name, but anyway speaks English, has a smattering of English, and apparently gives some very liberal values which are actually disguised forms of orthodoxies. And he in a video essay, it apparently quite acceptable to homosexual, that it is just like that. If you are homosexual, are born like that and all this, so what is it great all about? Why do you need to assert it? He doesn't know, or he forgets that till 2018 homosexuals were outright regarded as criminal as per law of the land. So, and even now, though legal part is taken care of, a gay or a lesbian, what kind of social acceptability it will have? Forget even gay and lesbian, that widow remarriage that Vidyasagar did so many years ago. Even today, how many how many of us will accept the free and fair mind, a widow being remarried? So society, Raymond Williams had a term, the name of a book, a long revolution. We need a long revolution, not by war, not by weapons, but by counter ideologies. So we have to make people understand that, see, you are doing gross injustice to a great number of people only based on some past prejudices or based on some archives writing, whether scriptural or legal or whatever, which are either inhuman or they have lost their utility long back. So that is why in many fields progresses are happening, but we need to do more progress. Now next is, we'll come to, in our next video, we'll come to discuss Eve Kosofsky Sedgwick's that the beast in the closet.